What's up, everybody? In today's video, we're talking about the new Avengers and how they are absolutely gonna kick butt in war and in the Legendary event, whoever that may be. So in this video, we're gonna talk about the kits, but not the whole kits, because everyone's already done that. We're just gonna talk about the highlights of the kits, what each character is gonna bring in war. We're gonna talk about that, how it relates to the trial, the legendary character, what missing out on that character or not getting the biggest version of that character could mean for your account. It's all speculation at that point. But before we get into any of that, I want to give a big shout out to today's sponsors, Bloodline Heroes Lithus. I'd like to give a big thanks to today's sponsors, Bloodline Heroes Lithus. This Hero Collector RPG provides some of the most unique gaming experiences I've ever had in the best way. So I'd like to invite you guys to download the link in the description below or that QR code and come join me in taking over Lithus. Let's talk about why you need to try this game. With over 4,000 hybrid possibilities, you'll never run out of projects to try. Make sure you familiarize yourself with the marriage system to truly explore this amazing feature. As I say every single time we talk about Bloodline, who doesn't want to charge into battle with a werewolf, vampire, demon spawn? Let's talk about the graphics. So the mobile industry has come a very long way in that department. However, Bloodline puts the competitors absolutely to shame. Whether you're playing on a mobile phone or a tablet, your eyes will like what they see. Check out all these characters. Besides just having beautiful graphics, this game has incredible game modes in which you are going to employ great strategies to take over. From the campaigns, the Valley of Conquerors, Dungeon Descent, the Arena, and even Guild Conquest, where you and your guild will unlock Bloodcraft legend characters who are super rare and powerful. Make sure you do keep an eye out for the new clans that come every fortnight as well, including one of the newest, the Tide Razors. I love these guys. These are demigods of the deep sea and they are powerhouses. With multiple knockups, stuns, pulls, and AoE damage, you will rock your enemies until they are seasick. I've been using these guys to claw my way through the campaign and it's like a rocket ship. I have no regret in building these guys as high as I could. When you get your favorite clan, make sure you keep an eye out for the different ways Bloodline keeps them interesting, like the new skin for the Lionstone Female, from medieval to battlesuit. Absolutely incredible and an amazing way to keep characters fresh and usable in the game. So download now using the link in the description or that QR code. The first 30 players who leave their in-account ID and username in the pinned comment will receive a free Legendary Female Succubus. Come and join me and let's take over Lithus. All right, so jumping into Tigra's kit. She's the fastest character in the game in War because of what Ronin does, but she is the fastest character in the game. So with a base speed of 128 and the Ronin multiplier of 135, her on-spawn speed up, she is going at 3.8 ticks, which is absolutely insane how fast this character, which means she's going to reach her second attack very quickly. So this team is going to be spamming attacks. And with other turn meter rewinds that also are going to be happening, it's going to be very interesting how this plays out. She also has two taunts, both on her special and on her ultimate. She spawns with evades. She gains evades on her turn. She gains speed burn when she does evades. Everything she does bleeds. Her ultimate does an AoE, trauma, and slow. And she is just a new character, so you know her damage is going to be up there, and she also gives damage stat. This is going to be a very interesting character. How she sets certain matchups up is going to be very interesting, and what the rest of her team does kind of lines them up to take out a lot of teams. And because this is no longer a war defense only team, I'm looking at this team with a lot of interest. It does excite me quite a bit. With that said, this team may be countered by Secret Defenders out the gate, because Black Cat does stop the on-spawn speed up from Tigra, being that Tigra is a bio character, but then Thing goes first, because Thing also gets speed bar on spawn, and Thing could stun Hard Light and then go from there. Maybe we end up killing Black Cat with the Ronin and all that. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I'm very interested to play test this team. Or maybe Black Cat becomes a plug and play because she does that with everybody. She doesn't actually have to be with Hard Light. So we're gonna see how all of that plays out. But that's Tigra for you. She is definitely a bloody spleed queen. Ronin. Ronin, I love Hawkeye. So I am a little disappointed in what Ronin brings. But when you take the time and you analyze the turn order, I'm actually pretty excited about what he may be able to do. So he rewinds by 25% speed bar on counter assist. I'm not sure why it says life. I should have changed that. He does a turn 1 single target nuke, 500% piercing damage. He does a turn 2 stun with 5 target rebound chain. Rebound chains are super dangerous. And the way the turn order goes is you could force him, when on offense, to go after Coulson, who's going to put a defense down out there, which is super duper interesting. And then his passive. He has a crazy passive. So he increases the speed stat of his teammates by 35%. So Emma does -10. Ronin does plus 35%. That's bonkers. That's actually really, really, really good. And it's one of the reasons why this team is going to go so fast and then take so many turns with all the turn meter rewinds and the speed bar gains that Mockingbird is also throwing out. So it's very, very interesting. And then he also has a super intriguing part to his kit, which we're waiting on clarification for. The exact verbiage here is, at the start of any match, if this character has 4 or more new Avenger allies, enemy characters cannot fill speed bar. Now, when they use fill speed bar in the kits, they're not talking about like gaining speed bar. They're talking about like Omega Red. He fills his speed bar by 75% on spawn with his team. Morgan fills speed bar by 10% on every turn. Apocalypse fills speed bar by 50% when he drops below 50% life. So that's what they're using. So here's where it becomes interesting. Nowhere in this line of text does it say on spawn enemies cannot fill speed bar. It just says at the start of the match, if there's 4 more new Avenger allies, enemies cannot fill speed bar. That intrigues me. It might mean that throughout the entire match, no speed rate can be gained, which is going to make this team counter Apocalypse teams, counter Red Hulk, counter Skrull, who is an absolute monster with speed bar. So I'm very, very interested in this team as a heavy word player. All right, moving on to Mockingbird. Mockingbird I thought was pretty boring until I really dove into her kit. So, I mean, she is boring because she's a healer, right? But she does a lot of healing. She does a lot of buff flips. She spreads buffs. She summons in the medic and the assaulter. The assaulter also strips buffs off. And she does crazy speed burn mechanics. So when a character is in stealth, if they are above 75% life on the end of any turn, so on the end of any turn, if this character or new Avenger ally has stealth and health greater or equal to 75%, clear stealth on that character and fill that character's speed bar by 10% plus 10% per new Avenger ally. That's 50% total. 50% speed bar is insane. Think about when you push Doom, he gets 50% speed bar. How annoying that was to try and craft teams that can either work around that or get an ability block out there. 50% speed bar is huge. On her ultimate, which is her default opening ability on defense, she gains speed bar and she gives speed bar to Ronin. Here's where you may not want to use that when we're on offense. Ronin is slower than Coulson, but if you give Ronin this speed bar, Ronin will go before Coulson, and that's a problem. So I think what you want to do is you actually want to open up with special when you're on offense for this. Now, you're not going to get the shield medic if you do that. You're not going to flip negative effects. You're not going to attack all enemies. You're not going to spread positive effects, but you do set up for the nuke with Coulson into the Ronin turn 1. Just buster damage on that ultimate, that piercing damage from Ronin. So I am very interested in how this team is going to be just taking care of buffs like crazy, and Mockingbird is huge in that department. And if we're talking about the Legendary event, you have to understand, Cosmo was so instrumental in the Black Cat event. Mockingbird is just Cosmo, but more healing. Like Cosmo, more healing, more buff flips. I guess doesn't give Safeguard, which this team is missing. But she is also summoning people in. She's going to be instrumental in the Legendary event. I can tell you right now. She's probably going to be the second, if maybe the third most important character to build, with Tigra being the first. So very, very interested in this character and how that's going to shape out. And I think it's going to be really fun playing this trial because of her, all the healing. And I know people are ragging on the cooldowns. This team has long cooldowns. That doesn't matter for war. In a one match 5v5, it doesn't matter if the cooldowns are long. Use the cooldowns once, the team dies. That's how war works. And that's also good because if this team's on defense, then you're not worried about them lapping around and getting their cooldowns back up. In the trial, just like we had with the Nowhere team, who also has super long cooldowns, like think Thor's ultimate, think all of Nova's attacks, Star-Lord's ultimate. Those are super long cooldowns. We had the Second Wind Pact. We're just going to have either another Second Wind Pact or some other way of gaining energy when we do X motion. Kill enemy, gain 1 energy. Something like that is going to be present. So I'm not worried about their energies in the trial. All right, so then let's move on to the reworked characters. They're boring, but interesting in the fact that they do have turn 1 coolness happening. So Thing, yeah, he's going to clobber. He's the second fastest on the team, so Tigra goes and then Thing goes. Thing starts with his stun, his ultimate, which also applies trauma and disrupt. And he stops bioprotectors from getting charges. That's going to be your Hulk. That's going to be your She-Hulk. So this team very well may be another Gamma counter on the offense, which is super interesting to me as well. And if they do stop Speedbird the whole time, maybe this even beats Gamma Apocalypse, which would blow my mind. Free up your Nowhere team. Free up your Secret Defender team, wherever you're going to use them. This is going to be, like, people who build up this team will have a cheat code in War. They're going to be able to move things around one way or another and get a lot of cool things done. So I'm very interested in just Thing's opening ability. Other than that, quite boring. He's still super slow, but he gets speed bar on spawn. But he's going to do his job. Coulson, he's basically going to be... He's the point guard to Ronin. He's just going to give an alley-oop. So Coulson, he does buff removal, and then he sets up Ronin for the nuke. Right? His ultimate is going to clear all buffs on the primary target who happens to have the highest damage. It's a default to that, even not on war defense, even on offense. Puts defense down, puts taunts on the target. Ronin comes in, does his ultimate, annihilates that target. Ronin has crazy damage stat. 500% piercing with his damage stat is going to be really good. He applies taunt to primary targets. We already talked about that. And then he has a turn meter rewind on his basic. His special does a 20% turn meter rewind. It's a chain attack. I think it might also do it on the ISO attack, so he might be a striker in the trial, but probably a raider in war. So this character he's instrumental technically, but not instrumental in power. Like I don't think he's gonna be like, you need to have a super big Coulson to make this work. No, it's gonna be Tigra, Ronin, and then Thing would be my guess as far as like priority to build. All right, so with that's it. So like this team is just lined up to go fast and to go often. And in the turn-based game, that is super crucial. And because they have the new stats, the new damage stats, they're gonna back it up. They're gonna back up those turns with heavy hits. Let's talk about the consequences of skipping this team. First, I guess we got to talk about the Black Cat trial. People who skipped out on Nowhere couldn't unlock Black Cat if they didn't have Nova. Like that's how tough it was, even difficulty 5, even with a giant Sinister 6. That's how tough it was. People who built up just Nova could get through it because Nova was a one-man wrecking crew. I would posit here that there is no Nova equivalent on this new Avenger team. It's not like build up Tigra, put her with the secondary team, whatever that secondary team is going to be, and you'll be okay to get the unlock on the next legendary character. I don't think that's going to be the case. And then speaking about that secondary team, we don't know what that secondary team will be, but if we look at the Nova trial, we had X Factor, which was not good. And then we had Sinister 6, again, not good, simply a burn team. And if we talk about the Scourge teams, we had Dark Hunters, which weren't good. They eventually got Mordo added. We had A-Force that wasn't good. They eventually got Photon added. We had Heroes Guardians, who were good, but they also got Val, Beta Ray Bill added. Then we had, the last team was Wakanda at start, but before the event even happened, War Dogs were added. So I'm kind of hoping that the secondary team that they're putting on each of the legendary events is marked for a rework. So hopefully we're getting X Factor new member soon. Hopefully we're going to be getting a rework to Sinister 6, which I think is who this legendary is going to be for. I think this legendary character is going to mirror Deathseed. I think it's going to be a tech raid character, and I think it's going to be either Scorpion or Green Goblin or Hobgoblin. One of those three, and then the other two will just be the other characters that come out with them. Deathseed is an amazing team. They have to be an amazing team because of the legendary character. If they're as good as Deathseed and the legendary character is as important as Archangel is to that team, you're going to kick yourself for not getting as big a legendary character as possible. All right? Maybe it's not necessary for the raids. And that will be the next talking point, is what if it's just another Bifrost, where if you have them all at 3 stars, congratulations, you can still do difficulty 1.6 Mystic Section. Maybe that's the case. So maybe you don't care about having this legendary character very big. But what if they're Deathseed? What if they're that amazing in Crucible? What if they're that amazing if we ever get Tower again? What if they're needed in Pocket Dimension? What if there's so much what if? And then what if neither of those things are true? What if this team sucks like Bifrost does outside of raids, and you're able to absolutely destroy the raids with them at a low star level? But the legendary character is an absolute beast. What if this legendary character is going to be the same as Morgan Le Fay, where her plug and play potential was insane? What if is as good as Red Hulk, who's just so fast, he does crazy turn meter rewind and has huge implications all over the game in every single mode? You're definitely going to want to bring this character into Dark Dimension 6, right? So won't you want him to at least be bigger than like a 3-star if you get the base unlock because you skip out on New Avengers? These are things you should be asking yourself and maybe worried about and then building into. So when I think about the characters that have since been added in the legendaries since the Horseman, Nova, who is a very good plug-and-play character, not the best, but he did bring an interesting battlefield effect. Black Cat, who stops negative speed bar on her team and also stops bio characters from getting speed up. Two very interesting things. She also has a turn 1 trauma stun. What is this next legendary going to bring? Do you want to skip him? Do you only want him or her at 3 or 4 stars? That's the questions you need to ask yourself before you decide to spend all your resources and just skip this team. So, skipping this team, what's my actual suggestion? My actual suggestion is don't skip this team. Don't max this team either, though. Because lots of people are going to skip this team, which means that the leaderboards in this coming trial might be a lot easier. It might be easier to score higher. The bare minimum to get an unlock, easily get the unlock at level 7 to gear tier 13. That's very free to play friendly to get up there. And if everybody is kind of just sort of sitting around there, and you go up to gear tier 14, level 75, or even gear tier 15, level 80, you might be able to push all the way to 6-star. That doesn't seem crazy to me either. I would also suggest that maybe the secondary team is going to be amazing. I kind of think it's going to be a really shitty team. I kind of am envisioning it's going to be something, another war team like Shadowlands, which will be good for like a one-time thing. Or maybe, what's another war team that's outdated? Ravagers, probably won't be Ravagers though. Another outdated war team. I don't know. There's so many of them at this point. My point is, I think that the secondary team is not going to be good enough here. But you could wait. You could wait and see when it comes out. Or you could, build up your new secret or new Avenger. Oh my God, there's so many new secret, whatever. Your new Avenger team, you could at least build them up for this event to make sure you're capitalizing on the rewards for leveling them up. All my point in this video is to talk to you guys about the new Avengers, how they're going to be phenomenal in war, and the implications of possibly skipping them. Don't marry yourself to the idea of skipping them. Don't start building your Weapon X because they're really good in war right now. Of course, build your Secret Defenders. Your Secret Defenders are good everywhere. But don't all of a sudden start wasting all your resources on Weapon X or on Bifrost. If you already are able to take care of the raids, don't waste any more on Bifrost because soon they're going to be out of the Crucible season. They're going to be gone. Unless it's a raid team and they carry that room over. I'm just concerned about people skipping this team because I heard so many people frustrated that they were struggling the Black Cat event because of the Nowhere team and they couldn't get it. And I would also suggest start holding your resources because it wasn't just the Nowhere nodes that were tough. Those Mystic Villains and Global Controllers, they were tough too. All I want to say, guys, is just be careful with your resources. Don't write this team off yet. We're going to have some footage out for them very soon, I assume, and we need to know who the next character is that they're unlocking, where he's usable or she's usable, and what they bring as a plug and play. We need to know all those things before we jump to conclusions. Have yourselves a great day. That's it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Stay happy, healthy, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one.